everyone. Welcome. Who is here? We have a few people who came and are joining me. I was on this afternoon and I got cut off because, hold on, let me change my audio over here. My camera is in the way. I got cut off because my computer, I don't know what happened. It just quit. My Wirecast kind of ended up quitting randomly. So I had said I might try and come back in a little bit later and do a little art journaling. I today covered a bunch of ideas and flipped through a bunch of my art journals and sketchbooks. So if you missed that live stream, then make sure you watch it for the day 2 of the Creative Soul Visionary Masterclass. There was lots of ideas I shared. So if you're here, say hi. Let us know where you are joining in from. I sent out an email. I know it's kind of late for a lot of people, but on the West Coast here in California, it is only 6:45. So for those of you who are international, hopefully we'll have some people who are joining in from international locations, since sometimes my normal broadcast times don't fit your schedule. So, hey Suzanne, welcome from North Carolina. You're not by the hurricane area, are you? I know it's kind of late over there, so hopefully some of you are playing and are going to paint with me tonight. I'm just going to kind of continue what I was working on earlier and then just play in my journal. I don't know what I'm going to paint. Tonight's just about play. The last couple of days we talked a lot about creative process and how to incorporate different strategies and ideas to gather inspiration and to kind of help jumpstart your artwork. And I am just going to play with some color tonight. And I just had some dinner, so I grabbed a little bite to eat really quick, and then I took Indy for a walk, and now I'm ready to do some playing. So if you're watching this in the replay, welcome. Hopefully you can grab your journal and have some fun and just doodle and play. So I talked a little bit about play versus the process, and tonight it is all about play. Hey Robin, thanks for joining us. I got a lot of East Coasters. It's late there for you all. I think everybody over here might be eating dinner. I decided to do this last minute, so I thought it would just be fun to just do a little bit of journaling. And I actually put this live in YouTube Live, so let me just check to see. If you are watching this from YouTube, I put a note there. If you want to join us for the chat, I'm actually hosting it in my Crowdcast classroom. So you can join by going to the link bit.ly/ capital C, capital S, capital V, masterclass, all lowercase. And hopefully some of you will join us here from there. Let me just see how it's working on YouTube. I think it's good. So has anybody been painting already tonight? Are you guys having fun? Hopefully for those of you who are watching in YouTube, hey Nicole, I just checked over here. So I am going to be hosting in Crowdcast. So it looks like it's working, which is awesome. But if you want to chat with us, head over to Crowdcast, and I put the link in there. It is easier for me to manage, and or you can just watch here on YouTube. Totally up to you. But if you want to chat with us, head over to Crowdcast. Yesterday, I got a comment from somebody on my YouTube asking, they were watching an old video that I had posted, and they had said, oh, hold on. They had said, what is going on? Can you all see me and hear me? Okay, I think my YouTubers can, but it looks like I might have forgot to share the link. Hold on. Let me just copy this. This is what happens when I... Okay, let's see. I think we're good now. This is what happens when I'm trying to multitask broadcasting in 2 places. Okay. Wow, yay, we're getting people. Hey, Kat, Robin, Suzanne, Cindy, Rochelle, Robin. Oh, there you go. I was talking to you all, but I don't think everybody heard. Did you hear me at all? I don't know what happened to the broadcast on Crowdcast, but it's there now. For those of you who are in YouTube, okay, great. Okay, great. Yay! So I'm gonna go back to Crowdcast because that's where my main broadcast is. But you all who are here on YouTube have fun. If you want to come join us for the chat, we are going to chat in the Crowdcast, which is the bit.ly/CSV lowercase masterclass. Okay, grab your journals and some art supplies, and we're gonna have some fun. Okay, great. So now that we're all set up, and I've got a few people both on YouTube and Crowdcast, welcome. I am just going to play a little bit and just let whatever happens unfold in my journal, which is part of the process, part of what I talked about in the last 2 days in my free workshop. So I love to have kind of that design-based process where I'm doing the research and doing the ideation and mind mapping, visual brainstorming, and then I kind of take it into my journal and I just start sketching and kind of doodling and drawing. So let me move my keyboard, and then I'm gonna turn my camera down to my desk, and from time to time, I'll try and go back and forth and just see if there's any comments on YouTube also. And we're just going to play. How many of you are painting? Well, I changed my camera. I'll be right back. Okay, so let's hope that this evening, Wirecast doesn't do anything kind of wonky because it kicked me off earlier. I'm not sure why. Okay, great. Yay. Kim's playing. Suzanne is sketching. Awesome. And I am just going to paint a little bit. So earlier we were talking about, I was using just this little photo from one of my inspiration sketchbooks just to do a little bit of mark making. And so if you want to see the 2 classes that I taught, make sure you watch the replay over here in Crowdcast because there was lots of really good info, and I did some other fun technique demos and things like that. So tonight I am going to just experiment with a few different tools and paints. Let's see. It just looks kind of dark in my... How does this look in everybody's screen? Let me move my light closer a little bit. I moved it back earlier, but now it's getting dark outside over here, so the light has shifted a bit. Let's see. Okay, that looks like it brightened up just a tad. Okay, Yeah, so we were playing earlier, and I was doing a lot of abstract mark making using that little photo. I can't remember where I found it. It might have been Instagram. A lot of times I print random photos just to put them in here just for inspiration. And I've got some of my handmade inks and paints, and I'll probably use some other tools. Like earlier I used my Inktense pencils. So what are some of your favorite supplies that you're working with now? I'm just going to do a little bit of mark making on top of these. And feel free, since there's not that many people here, but feel free if you want to ask questions, you can type them right into the ask a question section over here in Crowdcast, or in the chat, since we don't have a huge amount of people. I'll keep a lookout for the chat. But I, from time to time, just like to do a lot of this, like, just meditative kind of mark making. I don't really have a plan. You know, I'm kind of using that photo as reference. But I'm not trying to copy it exactly. I'm just taking bits and pieces from it and adding kind of my interpretation into my journal. And so a lot of this, you know, is really play and experiments. I always say those words, but it really is. And this is charcoal pencil, and I'm mixing it with the what are these? Those ink markers, and you get a really pretty, like, indigo kind of looking color. But you got to do that kind of when it's a little more dry, like how it is, because that way you don't get a bunch of charcoal kind of stuck in your brush there. It's funny, some of these are starting to look like little cityscapes. So the reason I have these three kind of separate little areas is because I was just playing with the colors, and these are little just color studies that I like to do in my journals and sketchbooks when I'm working, like, with an idea for a color palette. So I do these in smaller sections like this, because later when I decide I want to take it to the canvas, like a bigger canvas, these are all really good experiments just to get the ideas flowing. You know, I'm not too committed to making a perfect, you know, page. I'm just experimenting with my supplies and with whatever tool I have in my hand at the time. Let's see, Suzanne's doing Inktense pencils, aqua crayons, printing, dyes. Ooh, dyes and screens. I've been doing a lot of natural dyeing, which has been so much fun. I haven't been dyeing fabric. I've been dyeing paper, which some of you might have seen. I showed this in my creator community live stream, but I don't know if any of you were in there. But I've been really having fun experimenting with my inks and making ink from my garden. But this was a little book that I just kind of let sit in the sun in my little eucalyptus bath, and then I wrapped a bunch of stuff. I haven't opened it yet. I'm gonna film a video and open it. I'm excited to see. I just let it dry in the sun. It took like a few days to thoroughly dry, but I think it's gonna be really pretty when I open it. Did I say Robin's is painting watercolors and ink pens? I probably could have done this in Crowdcast and then had some of you join me live on screen. But I'm broadcasting it through YouTube also. So while these are kind of sitting here drying, I'm going to start a new page. I just wanted to kind of finish off some of these areas here. Thanks, Kim and Robin. Said really cool. I'm glad you guys like. Yeah, it's been so much fun, and the weather has been so hot here, so I just let everything kind of marinate outside. And I have like 3 different dye baths that are going on right now outside on my table out there, and they look really cool. I'm having so much fun. Okay, let me move this one over. So this is what I was talking about like letting layers dry. So this has enough marks on it for now. And then I'm going to come back to it in a little bit. So, you know, I'm not too worried about like overdoing anything on here. But I want that to dry a little bit. Let's put it over here. On Saturday, if you guys are free, hopefully you'll be able to join me for my next third workshop, which is more of a play studio. And we're going to be painting and really diving deep into like taking some of the things that I shared in the last couple of days, taking those and really working through the creative process. Kim said, I'd love to see when they are opened. Sure. I was going to say, well, I could open them now, but they're kind of, I think it's going to be messy, so I'm just going to paint. But yes, I will post the video when I open them. Maybe I should try and do it live. That would be kind of fun. Let me grab another. I want to wet the page over here and just let the water do some work. So one of the fun things about fluid paints and water media is that you can get some really interesting mixes of color when you put down the water first and do kind of more wet. Let's see if I have my... Let's see. Kim says, I've done some rust with vinegar, dyeing some fabric just for a project. Yeah. I know. It's really amazing. Like the inks that I've been making from my garden, which I shared. I think I shared in yesterday. I definitely shared it in my creator community. And I had the little pieces over here somewhere. Let's see if I can't see them. And it is just so cool to see what happens like when the inks are put on different papers. They completely change. They go through this like huge variety of color shifts, depending on the paper, depending on what kind of like salt you put on it, or if you mix it like with it, what you said, Kim, like rust, or when you add different things to it, it's really cool. Like you can get some really vibrant colors. And you wouldn't totally not expect it. It's really, I don't know, I'm always amazed. So I just keep dropping ink on here. I talked about for this next season, the 3 months, I'm really working on a theme. I haven't decided what it's going to be yet, but I spoke about this yesterday, and then also in my email newsletter, where I'm working with the idea of using a theme that goes across everything that I create for the season. So I've been brainstorming, and I'm still not completely sure what I'm going to do, but I have till Monday to figure it out because that's October 1st. But if if you join the Creative Soul Visionary program, you'll get a sneak peek. You'll get the behind the scenes of that whole experiment and get to see how I create a body of work, along with you actually creating your own body of work too. And I think it's going to be a really fun thing to incorporate in my business, where I'm creating based on a theme that is something that goes through, from the paints that I create to the content that I share online. Everything will have this overarching theme, and it will definitely help me kind of stay focused, I think. So I've been loving doing these kind of just meditative flow. I call it, it's like meditative painting for me. I take a lot of different water media and just let it do its thing on the page, because as you see, as it moves and as it dries and as it mixes with other colors, I'll bring this down a little bit so you can see closer. It goes through these beautiful like blends. And so I'll stop probably right here and let this dry for a little bit. And I've been really loving using the mixed media paper to do it, because it's like a really heavier weight paper, and you get kind of a deeper color. It's because it is a 400 series, so it's a higher quality paper, and it makes a big difference on the types of papers that you use when you're painting. But I paint on everything. Like, I love sketch paper. A lot of the work that I do also, I'll use like cardstock from Staples. That's what this is right here. It just depends. But for work that I'm going to sell, I usually will use something, that's a little bit heavier weight. And this also makes great like inside pages for your journals. Let's see. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to let this sit and dry while I work on another piece. Let me take this out. I should have taken it out of the pad so it doesn't move too much. Let's try to not shift the paint, overly shift the paint. We're going to put I think I'm also really right now inspired by kind of this fall autumn shift and doing work that has that kind of theme and like the colors that you would see during this time of year. I think that when you paint like with the water media, you get such more like it's, I don't know, I think it's just super relaxing. I'm gonna grab, let's see if I have the indigo over here. I have turquoise. I usually have my indigo, but I took a bunch of paints with me when I was teaching. Oh, here it is. Let's use this. This is one of my favorites from Golden. It looks dark again. Let me just see how this lighting is going. Okay, there we go. That's better. Now I see why it was. So you can drop this right in. It's a little bit thicker, definitely than the inks. I'm going to add a little water to this. I just love seeing what happens when like the colors shift in there. And the thing that the other thing that makes a difference too when you're working with this kind of medium is that you want to let it dry naturally. Like using a heat tool will completely change the color. So you want to keep that in mind when you are, let's see if I have a syringe, when you're painting. How was everybody's day? Did you guys do anything fun today? Anybody? Okay. So I love the syringe because you can get this like thin line. Obviously it's thicker because this is wet, so if it's wet it's just going to spread, but when you get to an area that is dry, you get that thinner line. And you can really pull the color with it too, just to make kind of like tints of color. So a lot of times, like tonight, it's nighttime, and I'm a little tired because I was talking for like 2 hours earlier, but I tend to paint kind of like this in the evening, like super I don't know, kind of free flowing and not super fast or not wild and crazy. It's more, like I said, it's like kind of like a meditation almost. Let's see what happens if we like shift this with a little water. Rochelle asked, what size needle is that? It's a good question. I don't think it says on here. I can't remember. I want to say maybe 18 or 21. I don't know. I'll have to look. This is a 1 millimeter plastic syringe, blunt. This is a blunt needle also. You definitely want to use a blunt needle. A lot of times they use these syringes to give medicine to cats and dogs. So you may be able to find them, from a vet. You can also probably find them online. I put them in the orders for with my paints and inks. They come with all the orders that I ship out. There's some really pretty, I don't know if you can see that very well in the camera. It looks so awesome, like the movement of the color. This high flow is like really thick. I think I probably didn't shake it too much. I didn't shake it enough. The one thing about that indigo, look at how much it moves when it's like super wet. It's so pretty. It's definitely that one color from Golden that does that. Something about the pigment that makes it kind of just like spread out. And I'm not sure what it is, but I love seeing the shift of it. And let's see, let's grab, I found these guys. I showed them in one of my live streams. These I found in Paris at the Charvan store, and they are, this is gold, but it's turning kind of a green gold because I mixed it with the blue. They're the Conoir Hardmouth Wax Aquarelle, I can never say that, pencil. And you can dip it. I like to dip it in water before I make the marks, because it makes a more vibrant line. Anytime I use the water, any kind of water soluble, I always dip it in water first. Like little gold flecks in there. Are any of you full-time artists? I'm gonna grab some of my Prismacolors. And these are still wet, so I'm gonna let this dry. Suzanne says, good, more rain here this evening. Oh yeah, Suzanne, where are you? North Carolina, you said? Is that what you said? I think that's what you said. Yeah, North Carolina. Yeah, more rain. Oh my gosh. It has been so hot here in California. We are having our crazy September, October heat waves. It was like 90, I think 8 today. It was very warm. So I think I'm gonna let this kind of sit. There's that, it's like so thick right there, that blue. I want to kind of move it more. And maybe, do I have one of my pens? So this is one of my calligraphy pens. It is, I think it's a Browse nib. I got one. I got it in Paris when I was there this summer. But I had a couple of them. And so I just bought a couple of them to experiment and play with. Okay, this one I think is good to go just to dry for a while, then I'll come back to it. What time is it? Oh, it's already 7:20. Some of you are up late on the East Coast. Robin said, after watching your class today, I got out some of my supplies and started to play. You are motivating. Oh, awesome. Yay. Robin said, nice effects. I do a few commissions. Oh, great. What kinds of things do you paint, Robin? Let's see. Let's use this. What color did I put in here? I totally forgot. Oh yeah, this was kind of a reddish. It's like a reddish black color. It's really pretty. Cheryl says, I just watched Murphy Brown. Perhaps tomorrow I can paint. Oh, is that the new, it's the new season of that, huh? I remember watching that when I was younger. But I didn't watch it all the time though. Let's pour some of this on here. Let's spread this with the bottom of the ink bottle. See what kind of marks we can create. So in my world, anything becomes a tool. I love using the bottom of the bottle for all kinds of things, not just this bottle, but any bottle or any cap. Like the paint caps are always usually good to stamp with or do something, you know, mark making with. Let's see, what other mark making tools do I have over here that would be fun to play with right now? I have one of these. Let's see. What other colors do I have over here? Let's try this raw umber. Ooh, look at that move. That's pretty. It's kind of turning a little green at the edges. I love that. Where did my brush go? Oh, here it is. I was going to play music, but since I'm broadcasting on YouTube, they have like copyright issues, so I didn't think that was a good idea. Because then sometimes with the copyright issues, people can't see it in certain countries. Ooh, I'm really liking this color thing that's happening over here. Oops. Let's put a little of this purple color. I'm really getting that kind of like that autumn vibe going in a lot of my work lately, especially some of the foraged inks. I should have grabbed some of those. I have them in tester bottles because I always like to test the inks and see how they react over time. So I have a bunch of inks that I created last year that have been sitting in the studio, and I use them from time to time, but really I leave them there for like the year so that I can make sure, I can see what will happen with the color and how much it shifts, or if it shifts at all, or if there is something weird that happens, because they're wild inks, that is highly likely that, they're going to totally change over time, which is kind of the fun of creating inks from your garden or from plants in general, because you never know how they're going to change and turn over time. So they're kind of what you would call like living inks, which is kind of fun. And the idea of making them, it's just so, I don't know, just the alchemy of what happens when you boil up the plant or leave it out, in the sun. And you get just this beautiful color from the earth. I mean, it's so amazing to me. It is a long process, somewhat of a long process, because you have to either let it sit out in the sun. I try and do as much like solar extraction of the dyes as I can versus like boiling things. One, because a lot of times it's like you don't know if the fumes, I don't know if the fumes are going to bother me or not. So I definitely am cautious in that regard. But then also just using all that electricity, like when you're boiling something for half an hour, that's a long time to have something like sitting there that you're not cooking to eat or, You see that in the shot. I guess I should turn this like the other way, because then that way you can see the whole thing. Let's move this over a little bit. And while I'm working, normally when I'm working in my studio, I will kind of move. I'll have like, stacks of stuff, papers that I'm working on. So then I just rotate them and kind of work on them simultaneously, because a lot of the marks that I make will kind of move from one paper to the other. Hey, Creative Sherry. How are you? Wow, another East Coaster. You all are up late. Thanks for joining in. I hope you're having a nice evening. Let's do some the bottom of these bottles are fun because they have kind of like a little print on them. Oh, I see questions. While I am doing this, I'll answer some questions. Kim asked, will your Creative Soul Visionary course have specific assignments? Yes, they will. And they will really encourage you to do the work. Like, this is not a class that you want to just like take and maybe get to it later. Like, it's really for the artist who is serious about getting to a place where you're really starting to develop your own creative process. And we'll be sharing them in our small groups. And so I'm hoping that it'll be really interactive. One of the things I love to do is to have people come on camera. And if you're camera shy, you could totally not be on camera if you don't want. But I think that the beauty of that is that you start to learn how to talk about your work and talk through what you are working on. And then I do have, there are a couple of spots open for the actual one-on-one mentorship. And I'll be detailing all of that in email, and on Saturday I'll be sharing it. But I'm going to open up the registration for the program tomorrow, and I'm so excited about this program. For those of you who are just joining and haven't seen any of the content, make sure if you want to, watch the last couple of videos that or workshop videos that I did in this crowdcast, because it'll give you insight into my process and what I am going to be sharing in this new program. It's definitely, something that I am hoping that whoever joins is going to be serious about actually doing the work, because I think that is, one of the things that happens nowadays is that people just sign up for classes, and you're not spending time actually going through them and using them and doing the work, to kind of move to that next level. And you sign up for like dozens of classes and you don't participate. And so that's why I do a lot of my classes live. And I vary the times too, because I want to have as many people, join me as they can. But the replays are always available. And I really enjoy that live component, because I get to talk to people in real time and give feedback and answer questions. I think that's really important when you are taking a class. And I know not a lot of artists are doing that in real time. I think there's a few that are starting to, which is awesome. I think it's such a great thing when you can, it's not the same as taking a class in person with somebody, but it's the closest that you can get, definitely, especially if you're overseas. Kit asks, hey Kit, what tool am I using now? This is a calligraphy nib. Let me put my hand behind it so you can see. It is a browse. I forget what they call this. It's a calligraphy nib. And here I'll show you. I'm using it for mark making right now, but let me grab another piece of paper and I'll show you how you can actually letter on here, because I don't want to write letters on here. Is anybody doing Inktober? I'm thinking about it, but I'm not like good on prompts, like using other people's prompts, and I know that's like the whole premise of the challenge. But then I've seen other people like making up their own prompts. So I don't know. I'm like totally new to the whole thing. And I was talking to some of my other classes about that whole process. Like, I am definitely not somebody who does good with like consecutive days of things. So I'm not sure how well I would do. Although I did read somewhere that you could actually do, as much or as little of prompts as you want. You could do it once a week, or, whatever you wanted to do. So I'm thinking it would just be fun to just do kind of things like this and do, maybe like 10, 15 minutes of play, just so that I'm like doing creative work each day. And then I thought maybe I might do some combined with lettering. And Robin said, I would love that class. What class are you talking about? I forgot what I just said, Robin. Oh, I'm like, I think it's getting late. Let's see. You're welcome, Kit. I did find this little nib thing. I was talking about it earlier. I found it in Paris, but you can find it. I'm sure you can find it on Amazon, because I had one from before that I bought, I don't know, a long time ago. So you probably could. You find it on Amazon, I'm assuming. Cheryl said, I've never heard of Inktober until today. Oh yeah, go look it up. I think it's been happening for a while. It looks really cool. I mean, there's some really amazing illustrators that do it. I think that was the whole like thing behind it at first. It was like all illustrator and like inking people. But, you know, it's kind of become this big thing that happens in October. So I thought, oh, what that would be a fun way to kind of, you know, share my inks and my watercolors. So I don't know. I think it might be kind of cool. I just have to figure out what I want to do. I really think I like the lettering and maybe just this kind of play where you just get some randomness. Who knows what's going to happen? Okay, so I was going to write a letter on that, and then I just realized, like, with this pen, I can't do it while it's wet. So let's let that dry. I'll go over on this side, and I'll write. Oh, but actually, I could write with this. Look at this other thing that I found in Paris. This was really cool. I need to let me put out a lot of ink so then you can kind of see it a little bit better. Kim also said, will it be on your own website or like a course site that we log into? My style is already very free and really easygoing, although I know I want to make a business from creating. I know I need to be more intentional. Will your course be helpful in this area? Yes. There are... So to answer your first question, will my course be hosted on its own, on your own website or a course site? So I host all of my classes on my own website. I built a WordPress site a couple of years ago, and so it's really easy to navigate. Actually, I could probably show it. Let me log in and I'll just show what my site looks like if you've never been to it before. I am going through some major updates on there in the Mixed Media Lab, but you'll get access if you join. You'll get access to the Mixed Media Lab later in the program because I don't want it to be overwhelming for people to have too many things to access, because I really want to concentrate on the Creative Soul Visionary class first. And so that will be part of your bonuses to access that. And also, as the part of that, I am going to really ask for feedback on the new site upgrades, which are going to happen over the next few months in the Mixed Media Lab. So it'll be fun to kind of get your feedback, and people will be in there kind of at the ground floor because the price of it will go up once we relaunch. I built the site a couple of years ago to move my classes over, and because they were all on Ning for a long time. And so I have this huge library. There's like 50 classes there. And it's a little overwhelming just because there's so much content. So we're going through and auditing the content just to get a better feel for all of the content and videos and PDFs that are in there. I had a spreadsheet made, and I didn't even remember half of the stuff that I created. I mean, I've created so much content over the last 10 years. There is a great amount of content and library stuff in there. So that portion is going to be available to you if you join starting in December. That will give you time to kind of go through the Creative Soul Visionary content, and really concentrate on that. And so the other answer to your other question, you asked about my style is already very free and really easygoing. Although I know I want to make a business from creating, I know I will need to be more intentional. Will your course be helpful in this area? Yes. So there's 6 modules that are purely in the area of really building your visual vocabulary and building or developing your creative process and your artistic voice. And then there are 2 extra modules for people who sign up for the higher level that have to do with business. And we talk a lot about ways to to take your art and to create a business from it. And whether it be writing or teaching or doing something that is other than gallery kind of representation, because that's not what I specialize in when it comes to art. I specialize in alternative ways to make a living, selling your art online, creating products, working with manufacturers. I have years, 16 years of experience in product development for the art and design and craft market. So we'll talk a lot about that and how to find different resources there, working with design teams. Also, then if you're part of the one-on-one mentorship, then we really sit down and look at your goals and what you want to accomplish. And we set, some goals and deadlines of things that you can do to get to kind of that next level in your art. So whether it be, me getting you in contact with the right people, or talking about, how you would go about developing your social media or your website, and the content that you decide to share online. So there's lots of different exercises with that too. So Kim, if you're still there, what do you want, if you don't mind sharing, because I love to hear what your answer is. You say you want to make a business from creating. Do you have any idea of what you are wanting to do as far as that business? Because there's so many things you can do with your art. Is it like surface design? Is it something more like developing products like stencils and stamps? So I see a couple of you saying, what tool is that you're using? And I'm assuming it's this thing. Yes. It's some kind of paddle. I found it at the Senlier store when I went in Paris. And I'm not sure, it's bamboo. I've never seen these before. And it's bamboo, which is really awesome. And I'm not sure what it's even called. I just grabbed it because I was like, oh, that's really cool. But you can make something that's kind of similar with, this one was made, it's smaller, obviously, and I'm using a stir stick. This one was made with a piece of balsa. So you can dip the balsa. I think it would be better if I kind of slanted. I could file this down with a nail file just to make it a little bit more curved so I get a better mark. But you can get, some interesting marks with this little balsa wood piece too. So I bought just a couple of these because they were kind of expensive. I don't remember exactly what they were. Michelle asked, just wondering if you ship your inks and watercolors to Canada. Yes, Michelle, I do. I ship most of them priority mail, so it is a little bit more expensive. There's a couple of the collections that I ship regular first class mail, but like a first class mail package to Canada is $14 US. Just because I know that because I just shipped a bunch of Canadian orders recently, and that was for a smaller package. So the one thing I love about anything that's like a handmade tool, you can really create some interesting lettering just by turning to the side, and almost like with any kind of tool you can do that. So this is what I was saying, like if I file the edge, kind of like this one, see this one has like a slant. Can you see how it's slanted there? This one has more of a square edge, but it still works. So maybe I don't know, maybe this would be fun to do, just like at least 31 days of letters. I think I could handle. Anybody else gonna try the Inktober thing? I think I was going to do, oh yeah, I was going to use that thing. Kim said, how long will we have access to the course and the mixed media course? So the mixed media lab, you'll have 6 months access to. It's a bonus that is going to be part of the overall package. So you'll get 6 months starting in December. And then you can also, after that, you can add on, and you'll be grandfathered in at a lower rate once the mixed media lab opens again to the public, because it's been shut down. It's been closed. I shouldn't say shut down because there's a bunch of people in there, but it's been closed for most of this year. And then for the course, for that version of the course, you'll have most of my courses have 18 months. If it has upgrades to that course, you definitely you won't have the upgrades. Like when I relaunch the course again and I change it, you'll have the opportunity to upgrade. So for that course, I don't like to say lifetime access, because it will be the class lifetime access, which is it just depends on a number of things, because I don't plan to keep my courses up there for like 20 years. So but you will have plenty of time to access it. Okay, so that we got a little A going on over there. I think I want to put some other color in here. I tried to put an Inktense, but it didn't blend very well over there. Mary said, I may try it. I did the 100-day project and enjoyed the process. That's awesome. I tried the 100-day project and I lasted for like, I think 15 days. I was so busy. Kim says, I am not on YouTube. I am on the other site from this afternoon and it won't let me comment. I'm not sure. I see your comments, Kim, so I think you're okay. I see your comments. I would like to bring creativity to people who are stressed, say doctor and nurses who work in the ER or ICU. Eventually, I would like to be an art therapist. Ah, awesome. So a couple of years ago, I met in my mentorship program, I had a woman who started an art therapy practice too. And she worked in the hospital and she wanted to kind of transition and do both and work and did her work as she opened up an expressive arts therapy business kind of as her side project. But that's awesome. I think that is a great thing for doctors and nurses. Do you work in healthcare now? Because do doctors and nurses who work in ER or ICU, do they actually take breaks for themselves? I feel like they just work all the time. And would they be interested in that? I think that would be amazing. I mean, I think that would be such a great thing to provide. I'm going to add a little bit more color, and it is coming on 7:48. So I think I'm going to wrap up around 8 o'clock because I was only going to stay on for like 30 or 40 minutes. But this is what happens every time I start playing. I just kind of go, and then I keep talking and talking. And so those of you who are here, thank you so much. And hi, for those of you who are watching on YouTube. I just came over and looked. Okay, good. If you want to participate in the chat that I'm like, if you notice I'm talking to other people, it's because I'm on Crowdcast. So you can definitely hop over there too if you want. Susan said, when I brought that nib, it was sold to make music score lines. Oh, to put musical notes on. Oh, good to know. Huh. That's cool. She's talking about this little pen that I have here. It would be a corporate art therapy. Ooh. Is that you, Kim, over here on YouTube? I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's not. It's so strange. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to make couple more marks with this. I just need a darker color. Let me just grab something over here. Let's see. Oh, wait. Let me close this before I knock it over. Knowing me, that's what's going to happen. Actually, let me just grab a little bit out of here. I'll make a little bit of marks with that. And then maybe, what dark color do I have over here? We'll just use a watercolor. Okay, a couple more marks. And so when I use a calligraphy nib like this, I usually use it with a brush. I rarely dip, which, I mean, you could that's what these are. They're dip pens, but I find it quicker if I just have a brush in this hand and I keep it, you know, kind of wet, and then I can, you know, just draw with this. That's so cool about the music note thing. I kind of like using it just as some, you know, random mark making lines. Oh yeah, I can totally see that now. Let's see what these other things are doing over here as they're drying. I'll show them before I leave. I was wondering if I have any of my little crystals over here. My little reactive crystals that I made. Let's see, any. But I do have a big block, more squares. This is a graph cube by, is it? Oh, Caran d'Ache. Yeah, Caran d'Ache. You know, the Neocolor people. So that's the whole thing about the Creative Soul Visionary. You know, it's part process, and then there is a lot of this where, you know, I'm just experimenting with colors, with different tools, you know, making marks, not really having a plan, just kind of playing with color and shape and line. Because sometimes you just need to do that, where you're not thinking about anything in particular and you're just playing. Excuse me. Ooh. Oh yeah, I was gonna paint with this little guy. And I think what I love about working with the water media like this, and you could do this with acrylic, like really watered down. It has to be either fluid or high flow, like golden. It doesn't have to be golden, but like it has to be that viscosity or that kind of paint where it's a lot more liquid or fluid, because then your colors will blend and mix. And if it's a thicker paint, you would just put a lot of water on your brush, but you know, that kind of defeats the purpose of acrylic paint. Although the one thing about it that's nice is that it is permanent. Like, since these are all water media products, they're not permanent. So that's the other thing, is that you have to be careful, because if you did want something, you know, that was more permanent, then you definitely have to use a different kind of paint, which acrylics you could do something like this. Like if I was doing this on a bigger canvas, I would definitely work using acrylic paint. But because this is in my sketchbook, I don't mind, you know, having it here where it is, you know, I know that I probably am not going to put water on it where it's going to, like, you know, get super messy. And then I'm going to just add a few scribbles with, let's put this down a little, Prismacolor. I love Prismacolor pencils. They are just awesome. And notice how I hold things. Like I try and hold them back a little farther just because you get a different mark, you know, when you work with a tool like that. So I'm going back to my autumn colors with a little pop in them, that little teal. Kind of really earthy. I think this time of year I tend to kind of go more earthy. I think that's just in general. Like I paint with the seasons most of the time. Like a lot of the colors, I do a lot more brighter colors in the spring and summer, especially because my garden is, you know, I'm really inspired by what's growing in my garden. Okay, let's see. 4 more minutes. Anybody have any last minute questions? So where exactly, Michelle says, so where exactly do we sign up for your new course? I need a kick in the butt to get me back in the studio. Michelle, I will be sending out information tomorrow. If you make sure you're on my email list, I'll also on Saturday, I'll share the link here. I'll actually share the link inside Crowdcast. So I will be putting up the link here. You'll see it underneath the video later, and probably tomorrow sometime in the afternoon. And you can definitely get the information there. And then I'll be having a Q&A too on Saturday and answering questions if you have other questions that you have about the program. I'm going to switch. So hopefully you had fun. Oh, let me show these before, as they're drying. Okay, so I'm going to try to do 31 days of this. Wait. 31 days. Is that 31 days? Yeah, because that's the Halloween is the 31st, right? And then here's this one. And so what time do we start at? Like 6:45. So like in an hour, you know, I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because I was finishing up the other one. I have 6 really fun starts. And actually, you know, like this, I really love this. I don't know if I would even do more to it. I might just do a little bit of writing. A lot of these, you know, this is great just as like color inspiration. This is another way I love to play with color palettes. So like here and let's see. Here, a couple of different ways. Like you could do traditional, you know, color blocking and color swatching, but to really see how colors mix with each other and see what happens when you put them side by side like this, I think doing an exercise like this where you're playing with color palettes, it's a great way to kind of see how colors react to each other too. And then the whole lettering thing. I'm really having fun with this. Okay, I think this is what I'm going to do for Inktober. Anybody with me? Okay, let me turn my camera. I'll be right back. Okay, everybody, let's see. I just saw this, Mary. Mary says, I've been teaching jelly printing and paper making classes. Ooh, fun, fun, fun. Why does my camera look like it's crooked? Because it is. Sorry about that. And she said, would like more info on how to make online classes. Will your new class teach about that? So I have a class that's actually called Launch Your E-Course, which I might update and revamp and maybe teach it next year because there is a lot of information in that one. It is an awesome class, but I'm going to touch on it a little bit, but that in itself is another like 8 module class. Like there's so much to know, but I'll definitely talk about just even at a smaller start on how to kind of create tutorials, because that is, I think, an entree into teaching online. Like you need to really be starting to share your work socially, and either if you have a blog or if you have YouTube is a great place to do it, so that people see your teaching style, they see how you do your art. I think that that's important before even trying to launch your own online class. So I'm not sure, Mary, if you're doing that already. That would be great to hear if you are. But yes, I will touch on it. But that class, like I said, is a whole separate class on its own, which I'm thinking about updating for next year because I've had so many requests. I've been teaching online for 10 years, and it has been an amazing experience because you can really get a worldwide audience. Like I am always floored by the amount of people who sign up for, especially my free workshops. I mean, it's amazing that I can reach, 500 people out all over the world. And I just promoted this on Sunday. So that's the beauty of online and the internet, that we have this worldwide reach now, and the more that you serve your audience and provide content that they want to learn about and you share with them, that's been my whole goal my entire career. Is I love to teach, and I've been teaching for 16 years, so it's just something that naturally comes out of me, and I want people to learn and I want them to grow. So that's a big part of teaching, whether or not you do it in person or online. Mary says, no, I'm not on YouTube, which is okay. So there is Facebook Live, there is Facebook groups, there is IGTV now. So we're going to touch on all those in this class, because I think that's a huge part of kind of taking your art to that next level and being able to share it in a way where you're giving peeks into your process and into how you create things, and sharing it and building community around not only your work, but community around the subject in general, around art. So thank you, everybody. This was fun. It was nice and relaxing, and just like really kind of a nice way to end the evening. And it really was fun for me to just play. This is something that I don't get to do a lot of in my studio because I'm so busy with everything else that I'm working on. So that's why I also started doing, as part of this new program, is doing the play studios, because I think that we need that. No matter what you do for your work, whether you are an artist or you are a doctor, I think no matter what you do, having that some kind of play in your work, whether it's art play, whether it's actual like sports play, it really helps you kind of have that art, that work-life balance. So thank you, everybody, for joining me and for enjoy this little snippet into my creative process. This is something that in my new Creative Soul Visionary program, we will dive deep into, where I will be working with you and helping you define your own creative process and develop your artistic voice and play. So thanks again, everybody. Hopefully I will see some of you on Saturday on the, what is that date? The 20, let's see what's today. The 29th. At 11 a.m. Pacific time. If you want to join us live, it will be in Crowdcast, and that link is bit.ly/C, masterclass, all lowercase, and you'll be able to join us for that play studio, and you'll be able to watch the other videos in this workshop, which are very educational and lots of really fun content. So, okay, everybody, have a great evening. I can't wait till Saturday. Thanks again for joining me. I'll talk to you later. Good night.